The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business Podcast.
Hi, I'm Sally Harrison, President and CEO of the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and today in our podcast studio I have my friend Kayla Kolar, who is the CEO of House of Refuge. Welcome.
Thank you, Sally. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and you know how much I love House of Refuge, and I'm honored to be a board member of House of Refuge. There's special things happening out there.
Every day. I'm known for saying we see a miracle every day, and we do.
I believe it. And I am grateful that you share those with the board because, we're not there every day to see all those special things. But before I get started with a host of things about the house, tell me what your history is, because I know that you've only been there, 3 or 4 years now?
It'll be 5 on January 1st.
5.
Time has flown.
Yes, it has. Okay. So what did you do before that?
Well, I have been in nonprofit executive leadership for over 30 years.
Okay.
I've been with 5 very amazing, very different nonprofits through the years. Growing up as a child, and I won't go back to childhood, but I was a volunteer. Whether it was with church or Girl Scouts or something, I was always volunteering in some way. So that streak kind of was in me, the nonprofit blood, if you will. As an adult, I ended up working for the National Federation of Independent Business, which you probably know, national lobby organization for small business owners. I was in sales, and I did very well in sales, but what I found out working for NFIB was that I loved working for a cause, and that kind of tied into my volunteering as a kid. So, but I was traveling every 45 weeks out of the year with NFIB, and I wanted to get married and have kids, and I was never going to do that if I stayed there. So I left, and I had been transferred to Phoenix, ended up working for 11 years at the Desert Botanical Garden.
Oh, nice.
Variety of positions, ended up being the deputy director there. Then I had the opportunity to be the executive director of the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. And I did that. They used to have a Phoenix affiliate, and I was there at the time when their annual race drew 40 to 50,000 people. So it was a huge event every year. So, and I loved that, but their office was on the west side of town. I've always been an East Valley girl, and I had little kids at the time, and I was going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark, and so it was time for a change. And I found myself at the Gilbert Historical Museum, now known as HD South. I was there for 15 years, and kind of we morphed into an arts and culture center, went through a capital campaign, and then the pandemic hit. Yeah. So things kind of... The whole world changed at that point. And it was during that time, during the pandemic, that the longtime CEO of House of Refuge decided to retire or quasi-retire. And some people in the community reached out to me and said, you might want to take a look. I said I've been with very different nonprofits, and I have. And I had never been in the direct human services arena. But I know how to run a nonprofit, and that's where my skill set is. And so I threw my hat in the ring, and here I am today, 5 days later. And sometimes you find yourself in a place that you think that you believe that you were kind of meant for, and that your whole career has led to that. And that's how I feel about House of Refuge. So,
well, for those who aren't familiar with House of Refuge, why don't you share a little bit about the House of Refuge and the mission to serve families facing homelessness, which I'm sure that just gets bigger and bigger every day.
It does. And my favorite topic to talk about is House of Refuge and our families.
Of course.
So House of Refuge is a place of hope. And that's the bottom line. And we meet families many times at the lowest point in their lives. They come to us, they've lost their housing for a variety of reasons, and they are probably either living in their car. Imagine being a single mom in your car with your kids and it's 110 degrees outside.
Right.
Or they're couch surfing with friends and family. They've worn out their welcome. Maybe they are fleeing domestic violence, a variety of reasons. So they find their way to House of Refuge. And once they come to House of Refuge, we give them a house, furniture, household belongings, case management services, workforce development services, food, clothing, after school care for the kids, a teen center for the teens, everything they need to start rebuilding their lives. We have 88 homes, and we're on the old Williams Air Force Base campus out by the Mesa Gateway Airport and the ASU Polytechnic campus. We're always full with a waiting list. The need is so great. But again, we take those families when they find their way to us and help them get back
so
on the right
88
track.
homes, obviously 88 families. Any idea of how many people that is between parents and kids?
Yes. Of the 88 homes, we use 7 for services, so we have 81 homes for families.
Okay.
On average, we have about 250 people who live in our community, and about 100 of those are adults and 150 are kids. So we have a lot of children in our neighborhood.
Oh, wow. Well, when you think about the families who come through your doors, what are some of the challenges that they face, and how does House of Refuge walk alongside them on the journey to stability? You mentioned some of the services, but maybe expand on that.
One of the greatest needs that we see with almost every family that walks in the door is financial needs. There has usually been some type of crisis in their life, whether their hours have gotten cut at work, they've had an unexpected medical bill, their car broke down. We had a single mom recently came with her 2 little girls, her car broke down, and she had to make the tough decision, do I fix my car or pay my rent? In her mind, her car got her to work, so she fixed her car and they lost their housing.
Oh my gosh.
That is not an uncommon story. If you know who Dave Ramsey is,
Yep.
he says that 60 to 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So it's truly there for, but for the grace of God, go any of us.
Right.
And financial is a huge issue. Sometimes it's something to do with education. Maybe they just graduated from high school and they've tried to work and they can't make a livable wage. The cost of living is incredible.
Yeah.
Affordable housing is
It's not affordable.
It is not affordable, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they need more education. So we work with them to either put them through a trade school or they work with our workforce development specialist. We had one mom who went through an 8-month medical coding and billing program. She got a new career. She was off and running.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had another single mom who wanted to be an electrician. So she went through a trade skill program and got an apprenticeship, and she was off and running. So a lot of times that's all it takes is just a little additional education. Basic life skills. Sometimes we see young moms, 19, 20, 21, they just had a baby, there's no dad in the picture, and they just don't even know how to navigate the basics of life. And so we walk alongside them and try to give them those skills.
Well, can you share another story maybe that really captures the heart of what happens here? Maybe a family whose transformation reminds you of why this work matters so much, not just to you, but to those families.
Yeah. I could tell stories all day long.
I know, but pick one or two.
Okay. One of my all-time favorites is a woman named Jessica. She has 2 teenage boys, and they were living in an apartment, and they were doing fine. And the owner of the apartment complex decided to redevelop it and sell the whole thing, so everybody had to move out. Jessica decided she didn't want to live in an apartment anymore, and she had enough money in her savings to have the first and last month's rent and the deposit for a house. So she looked around to find a house, and she found one, gave them all her money, and it turned out to be a scam.
Oh.
So they lost everything they had.
Oh my gosh.
They were living in their car. They spent a couple of nights in a motel, and they found their way to House of Refuge. While they were at House of Refuge, Jessica worked harder than anyone I've ever seen. She worked up to 3 jobs at one time. She saved $7,000. She got completely out of debt. She raised her credit score 145 points.
Oh my gosh.
And then she applied for a mortgage. The first time she applied, she qualified, but only for $200,000. And that's not going to get you very far around here. So she stayed with us a little while longer, got all those numbers up, and in September of 2022, Jessica closed on her own home.
Oh.
It was a miracle. Not everybody wants to own their own home, of course, but what that story illustrates is that it gives people hope. Whatever their goals and their dreams are for their life, it's possible.
Yeah.
So I love to share the story of Jessica.
That's awesome.
We recently had a young woman, Alana, I think you know Alana, and she was fleeing domestic violence. She has 2 boys, and she stayed at House of Refuge while she was there. She had a very entrepreneurial spirit, decided she wanted to start her own house cleaning business, and by the time she left, she already had a couple of employees. I think you kind of took her under your wing a little bit and mentored her, and she was off and running with her own business. So that was a huge success story. Everybody's goals are different.
That's awesome. Well, House of Refuge has an incredible group of community partners and obviously a bunch of volunteers. What role do those folks play in helping families rebuild their lives?
One important thing to note is that House of Refuge receives no federal funding.
Big change.
Right now, I'm very happy about that.
Yes.
Quite frankly.
Yeah,
On
no
in the
kidding.
world. But in 2016, the federal government said they were no longer going to fund transitional housing, and that's all we do. We had to turn on a dime, but what happened at that time, it was a crisis, and I'm glad it happened in hindsight. I'm glad I wasn't there when it happened.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
It was tough.
Yeah, and it was the community that rallied behind House of Refuge. We have an 89% success rate of families that finish our program and move into stable housing. And the community saw that, and they knew that this program worked and that it was transforming lives. So they rallied behind us, and we are 100% supported by the community right now. We could not do anything we do without the community and our community partners. Most of our donors are individuals. We get funding a little bit from the city of Mesa, a little bit from the town of Gilbert, but most comes from individuals. We get support from corporate foundations and family foundations, but it's all community based. So
nice.
That's where all the funding comes from. We also could not do it without our volunteers. We have a small staff. We have 25 to 27 employees, and last year we had over 2,200 volunteers.
It's incredible.
Nothing would happen without volunteers.
I will say, as somebody who volunteered through COVID, it was...
Bless your heart.
Well, you know what? I mean, obviously everybody had made changes at that point, and when Ducey shut everything down, I sent staff home. We spent a lot of time making calls, obviously, to all of our businesses in the community. Didn't matter if they were members or not, but we did take Fridays off. And that was when I had heard that you guys were doing a food distribution, and another one of our employees and I decided we were going to take that and make that our thing. And we were there, I think the food distribution was about 9 months, 10 months. We were there basically every Friday, and I gotta say, it was the most rewarding volunteer kind of extended period of volunteering for a certain cause that I've ever done. And seeing some of those people come through every week, and we were kind of the greeters, and figuring out how many family members or how many families different cars were picking up for. I spent a lot of time talking to people, all masked up, but got to know some of these people and hearing some of their stories. Some of them had lost jobs, which I was like, here's my card, let's see if we can find you a chamber member that is hiring. And I know of 2 that happened. But I met a deaf man who was teaching me sign language while we were waiting, in line every week. And then there was a young mother who came through and had an infant with her and shared with me that her baby was going through chemo, and the baby was like 6 months old. And it was the last day of the distribution, and she came through and said that it was also the last day of the baby's chemo. And I mean, we're all crying, but it was so rewarding to see and talk to so many people that were just so grateful for the ability to not just feed their family, but some of them were taking care of, 4 other families on their block, or, their like siblings, across town that needed help too. And just to know that that you guys, that House of Refuge kind of took that on for the east side of town was really heartwarming. And to watch our friends at CMC come and do all the true heavy lifting was so appreciated, because it was a lot of heavy lifting, like truly physical. But they loved that. I mean, they had a team there 2 or 3 times a week, and they did their part. That's what they kept saying. We're just doing our part. It was rewarding, and it was, frankly, the right thing to do. We had the time and, the ability to do it, and it was a feel-good thing.
Thank you so much for doing that. And it was. I came to House of Refuge after that food distribution had been going on for 7 months. And that was the brainchild of the former CEO, Nancy Marion, and Mayor Giles. And that partnership was incredible. And you're right, volunteers doing that was the right thing to do. And the city and House of Refuge doing that was the right thing to do.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was hard to stop that, but the need was going down, and that's why we stopped it, or it would have continued for longer. But again, that's the community coming together to meet the needs of the community, and that's what it's all about.
I just feel like that's a Mesa thing. People just want to support each other. Yeah. Okay, well, over the years, House of Refuge has grown. The need has grown and evolved to meet the changes of families we serve. Talk about how that's happened.
Well, the pandemic changed everything. So what happened before the pandemic at House of Refuge, I can't really speak to, but I know that when I walked into House of Refuge, all services were closed to in-person meetings. So case management was done over the phone. And if families needed food, we would drop it at their doorstep because we couldn't, give it to them. So just that, was different. Coming out of the pandemic, we had to evaluate what are the needs of the families now, because the needs are different than they were pre-pandemic. We mentioned the affordable housing crisis. That's huge, and that's a big thing that families are facing. The cost of living is different now than it was before the pandemic. We see transportation needs are different for our families. All of those things, it's just how do people survive when things cost so much?
Right.
So those needs, mental health needs have skyrocketed. That's a huge need of our families. So trying to find ways to address those things in our day-to-day work, that's our goal. And those are ever evolving. So it's just trying to keep up with all of those.
Right. Well, talk about some of the key initiatives or programs happening right now that you're most excited about. And I know there's a whole bunch, so pick a few.
Okay, yes. One I'm very excited about is back in February, I did some site visits to some other nonprofits in California, and I saw an aftercare alumni program in action.
That's so cool.
Yes, and I came back and I talked to our team about it, and we wanted to find a way to make that happen. We were very fortunate that we applied for a grant with United Healthcare, a $200,000 grant, and that launched our aftercare alumni program.
That's so cool.
And it started in July or August. So we are running with that program, and what that does is, first, on the front end, it helps families move into House of Refuge. So it gets them there with U-Haul costs, things like that. As they're leaving, we will help them with moving costs, we will help them with utility hookups, and if they stay participating in our program and they meet with our case manager or our workforce development person every month, then we will help them with their rent. They can come back for food, for clothes, they can come back and participate in our classes and our events, and we will do that for up to 6 months. That is going very well, and we're seeing some great success there. We're noticing that, again, the needs are ever evolving. Childcare is a huge issue, so we are trying to use some of those dollars to help with childcare, both while they're in the program and once they exit. So that whole program is something that we're just thrilled to be able to do, and we're looking for future grants, to continue that work after this year's over.
Are you able easily to keep track of people after they've left? I mean, living at the House of Refuge, and when they take off and kind of fly the coop.
Launch.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I'll say that it's been difficult historically. We would try to follow them at different periods of time for the first year that they've left. It's difficult because people are transient. Sometimes they will be in an apartment for 6 months, and then they'll find a better price somewhere else, and then they'll move, or they'll change their phone number. And we didn't have a way to stay connected except us just trying to reach out to them. Sometimes people don't want to be followed because whatever brought them to House of Refuge was probably not a good thing. Yes.
Sure.
And as good as their experience was, and as much as they grew and as much as they improved their life, it was not a good time in their life, so they might just want to put it in the rearview mirror and not look back. where we see families the most often, historically, not right now, but would be they would come back and they would donate something, and they would come to the donation center and they would say, I used to live here 5 years ago, and now I'm in the position to give back.
That's awesome.
Just a couple of months ago, I was giving a tour to a program officer at a foundation here in the Valley, and we were in our community center, and there was a group from McKesson, the Corporation McKesson, and they were painting a house, and it was hot, it was in the summer, and they came inside the community center to get cool. So they're hearing me give my little spiel to this person, and this one woman said, can I interrupt you? I'm like, sure. And she said, I used to live here 2 years ago.
Oh,
it's going to make me
got
cry.
goosebumps.
I know. And so she went ahead and told her story to
Oh.
this program officer of this foundation that I was touring. I couldn't have done it any better. You know, like, I didn't plan that, but there she was. And that's not an uncommon story either, for people to come back and volunteer or to
that's so
donate.
cool.
But now we do have a way to keep them engaged and to not just launch them out there in the world, but to give them a softer landing so that they are better set up for success.
Well, and so many incentives for them to want to stay engaged now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So as we look forward to the future, especially 30-year milestone coming up, right?
Yeah,
That's
yes,
awesome.
yes, yes.
What's your vision for where House of Refuge is headed next? I know you have one.
Oh, yes, I do. There are 53 homes that are very similar to ours, adjacent to our current homes. It just keeps running. And right now, those are owned by ASU, and students are living in them. Of course, ASU has a Grand Master Plan, and in their Grand Master Plan, they would like to tear those down. And we really, really want those homes because the need is so great.
Sure.
And we could absolutely use those homes for more families and to serve more families. So we're in very preliminary conversation with ASU to try to work out some type of an arrangement so that we can use those homes. And what they really want from us is our administration building, which is up on Williams Field, because that's the entrance into their campus. Yeah. So it makes sense to do some type of a land swap or some type of a deal with them.
Sure.
So that will happen over the next few years. It'll be a few years down the road, but before that comes to fruition. But that's the long-term vision, is to have more homes to serve more families. And in the meantime, we'll continue evaluating their needs constantly, because I'm sure they'll change. I mean, the world we're living in is changing so rapidly. Look at what AI is doing to everything, and we're running to keep up with all of that. And our Family Services Department is now using AI in some very creative ways to measure success and how we can improve services. So, I mean, that's all part of that vision, and I hate to throw too much of a long vision out there because things are changing so fast.
Sure.
And we've got to be flexible, and because we are privately owned and not funded federally, we can turn on a dime and do those things.
Makes it a lot easier.
It does.
Good. Well, so we've talked a lot about things. For the listeners who maybe are inspired by this conversation and like what they've heard, what's the best way for the average resident or maybe business to get involved or make a difference here? Because there's lots of ways. I know.
There are lots of ways.
Yeah.
Every time I give a tour, at the end of the tour, the question I get is, how can I help? And there are so many ways to help. First, we are a qualified charitable organization, and the tax credit that we have here in Arizona is so unique, and I just wish more people understood what it was about. But it's a dollar for dollar credit against your state taxes, and I think it's $987 and $491 or something like that for individuals and for couples this year. It changes every year, but that is kind of a no-brainer because you get that right back. So those donations are helpful. Again, being not funded by the federal government, every dollar counts.
Sure.
And it's more than the money. Like I said, we could not do what we do without volunteers. So we have volunteers that come once or twice a week, once a month. We have volunteers that come one time ever in a group to paint a house or pull weeds or whatever the need is at the moment. Our donation center is very robust. So clean out your closet, clean out your garage, as you are doing right now, Sally.
Yes, if you're moving, take advantage of a friend with a pickup and get a whole load of stuff taken.
Exactly.
No, I'm grateful because honestly, you don't want to take your stuff to the dump, right? You don't want to take it to a landfill. I mean, I had just a lot of things that I just don't need or I was going to have duplicates of. And it just makes sense to make a donation to, especially when you know that these families are getting these things and then they'll get to take things with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point, Sally. Everything that a family gets while they're with us at House of Refuge is free to them while they're there, and they take it with them when they leave, so they don't have to start all over again.
That is just huge.
Yeah. And another kind of important point is that we do have a finite number of families that we serve. And we are so blessed to get so much stuff from the community that if we have excess, we will share with other nonprofits in the East Valley. So
sharing is caring.
Absolutely. So we love our partnerships. Yeah.
So you have some events coming up. I know you have a big gala coming up.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. That's another way people can support House of Refuge. March 28th of next year will be our, oh my goodness, is it our, no, last year was our 10th. 10th, I don't remember.
Yeah, 11th.
It's 11th. Okay, yes. It's our 11th. Thank you.
I think so.
There we go. They're actually having a committee meeting right now while we're filming this podcast. So that will be at the Sheraton up by the Cubs Stadium. So this will be our second year there. It's a wonderful facility, great people up there. And that's a fun event. It's very fun. We have
But it's so meaningful.
Yes, we share stories.
Yes.
And so hopefully our goal is to make you cry.
It works.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But it's easy to hear those stories and to see the impact that this program has on people. So yes, so we have that event in March.
And you're looking for sponsors.
We're looking for sponsors.
Auction item donors.
Auction item donors. Other ways to get involved right now as we're going into the holiday season. Right now we are having families sign up to provide Thanksgiving meals, Christmas meals, adopt a family for the holidays. So those are critical things at this time of year as well.
Great. So how can people reach out to you? Website, phone numbers?
Yes, our website is houseofrefuge.org. That's easy. And all the information is on the website.
Okay, great.
Whether you want to donate, whether you want to volunteer, our hours of the donations.
Time, talent, and treasure, all needed.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. When you've got some updates to give, come on back.
I would be happy to anytime. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.
So you're the best, Sally.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.